to be rejected. A lot of time people just give up and they just say, rationalize, that person is going to say no, and they don't even pick up the phone then. Guess what? More negative you think, like in my book, Positivity Brings Profitability, more of the same thing is going to come in our life.
Good morning. This is the Abundance Mindset Podcast. Sit back and relax as we discuss hot topics on how to handle and grow your business, self-development, and how positivity can bring profitability in your life. Here are your hosts, Vinney and Gualter.
A lot of people out there, a lot of entrepreneurs who have set some really big goals. They've set some big goals. They're driving towards their income. And now they're at a point in the market where they're starting to realize that the goals may have been bigger than they expected, or things are harder than they expected. How you do anything is how you do everything. Principle 39, you and I were just chatting about it. We were talking about habits, and we were talking about how this kind of relates to life. You sent me a bunch of notes, which I love. I know you're using Perplexity now. Behavior, personal life, personal development, different areas that they make sense, core meaning, origin, and like how this sentence came to be. And then obviously there's a book called How You Do Anything is How You Do Everything. So what does it mean to you, Vinney, when you see that your energy is low in business, your energy is high in your personal life, and your energy is high in your health life? What is the disconnect sometimes? Why is business not always as high as, let's say, family and health? Why does that one seem to not always fluctuate as good?
This is smacked in the middle of today, actually. For the last 4 or 5 days, I've been feeling that the business is not where it should be and where I expected it to be at the end of second quarter. All those things which maybe some people can relate to, you and I. And stock market is dumping and elections are coming and all these big uncertainties are there. And the stock market just jumps up and down on a small missing of Tesla. It just messed up the whole market. And then the chip market, because of China and Taiwan, everybody's just selling NVIDIAs and others and all. So that has really shaken up my principles, which I say, don't be greedy and sell. It's just never, you can expect everything to go right, I think is the thing. And then, with my educational side of the business, I invested a lot of money and not too much returns. That has been negative in my thinking. But then I look at it, I say, you know what, Vinney, it's past. It's done, it's gone. What are you going to do about it now?
That is interesting. I don't think most people go to the, wow, it's past, what are you going to do about it now space for weeks. I think it takes weeks to finally get to the space where it's, okay, what are you going to do about it? So this habit itself, and even addressing the market, there are challenges in the market. I know a lot of entrepreneurs are having those challenges, but I also see a lot of entrepreneurs who are winning. I know you have high standards for yourself, but I see you winning too. And I see you closing deals. I see you taking down great investments. I see you paying back investors. So you don't like where you're at, and yet you're at a very good place where a lot of people would love to be where you are. Sometimes I wake up in and I'm like, oh my God, I should be way further ahead. I can't believe my son is 46 days old and I'm going to go still do this activity that should have been done already by somebody else. And there's that kind of grind, right? So how you do anything is how you do everything. The principle is an energetic and standard-based principle, right? From what I can tell from the conversation we've been having, it really does come down to principles. Like you have standards, you have principles, you have ways of belief, and you hold yourself to a higher standard, right? So that holding yourself to a higher standard, I know that came from difficult times, right? It came from not being good enough, not having enough, not moving fast enough. Like, how does a person build the habit of raising their standards continuously? Because you did it over years. It didn't just happen.
Does not happen overnight. I totally agree with you. The key thing is, it's again, you want to be focused in what's important. The vision has to be there. The vision gets blurred many times. And then you expect certain things in certain parts of diversified portfolios that I have and myself. And I feel, okay, why is it not behaving like I expected it to? But then you get into the nitty-gritty and then you find out, hey, the market overall, with the interest rates so high, with the insurance going through the roof, property taxes so high, and you hear about lots of operators underwater in this market. Fortunately, Vinney Chopra sold majority of things, almost all of them, except for my Houston property and my Austin property. So that's it. That's also about, how much is it? Like 125 million, just those two alone.
But when you say that, it reminds me of, I have the same feeling, right? Like I had a big portfolio a few years ago, big to me, right? And now I've sold down. I'm like 1/6 of what my portfolio was, but most of it's paid off and it's still appreciating. I kept my highest appreciating assets. And it's very interesting to watch these things still keep going up in value. I'm still selling more of them.
So true. So
And
true.
it's created a different space, right? So there's this kind of consistency that I've seen in you. You have a habit of wanting more each year. Even when you met me, you're like, Gualter, I like the 100 millionaires. That's really a great idea. I can get behind. And let's make it 1 million, right? Add a zero. Let's go to that next level. That's the mindset of leveling up. And even in your coaching company, I know your mastermind's not millions of people in there that you want it to be.
Yes.
You have this standard of how many people I want to help every year, and you're driving towards putting people to the mastermind. And that's why you and I are now partnering up,
So
put each
excited
other
about it, I
in the
can tell you.
spaces.
Yeah.
We're putting each other in the space where we're good at, right? I'm very good in
Yeah.
traffic. I'm very good at conversion, and you're very
Yep.
good at building millionaires. So it's like, we have this, my core mission is build millionaires, your core mission is build millionaires, and this traffic has been the challenge in between. And you just spent, I want to say it was
You just
35,000
hit
or
the nail on the
50,000.
head. It's hard to find motivated people who will take your roadmap, your blueprint that has a long track record, in my case of 17 years, going from $1,000 I invested in the company to 1.6 billion portfolio. Literally, that's the truth. I did not take any money from but my family wouldn't allow me to. They said we became multimillionaire when I retired and so forth. And they said, don't take this money away from us. But the key thing is, when you make those decisions and you have
And this is not your family, Vinney, but if we go back, this is actually Concha and your wife who said, Vinney, you're not allowed to invest any dollars that we've already built or protected. We're not taking any of this money and putting this into the syndication thing because it's a new thing and we don't trust it. We trust you, but we also trust you to do it with no money because you said you can. And so you took $1,000.
I became a broker in 2004, California broker. I just let it go this year because I had to go through some exams for keeping my license. So I kept that license for almost 21 years, no, 20 years. And the key thing was, I just did not want to sell and buy properties. We even invested, had stationaries, everything done, all done, name, logo. Then 15,000 we spent, I think my wife and I, we just one night said, no, we're not going to do it.
Vinney, I've carried my license for 13 years. And every year I look at it, I question, am I going to renew this in 2 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
I love that.
The key thing was, if I may say that, I borrowed money. My partner and I borrowed money from a Good Samaritan, and we went for coaching. I know a lot of times people say, I don't have the money. That's exactly I was at.
I know the coach was Dave Lindahl, 150,000, but that wasn't just for you. That was for two other partners too, right?
Two other
50, 50, 50?
Four partners. I took 120,000, I think we spent in coaching and other things. And guess what? Two of them fizzled out of five, I think. And just after 2 weeks or 2 months. And I said, holy cow, they're not motivated. They got to just pick up the ball and run. You got to can do and will do factors, right? You could get training, but if you don't have the will do factors, nobody's looking at you. Nothing is going to help you. Nothing will. You got to learn the business, immerse in it, and then you.
So I got to go back. So you borrowed money from another person to invest in your education, and then you pay and the education of two other partners. So you were the one on the hook for all four of you, right? You were the one who borrowed the money for the whole team. And so you invested basically 60,000 into two people who dropped off within a handful of months,
Mhm.
but you still had you and your other partner who I think
Yes,
you built a nice empire, and then you
we
actually
did.
also separated eventually as
We
well, correct?
separated 10 years back.
So
10
so
years back,
10
brother.
years ago, there's a separation, but you guys built quite a bit. You ended up paying back the investor who you borrowed the initial
Yeah.
150,000 from?
Yes. Actually, we had at one time 350,000 borrowed because we didn't have money to down payment, right? And we need operating capital. So this very good person, I can't say his name, he just kept on giving us because he believed in us. And we ended up selling that 14 units for 380,000, which we bought for 180,000 in Odessa, Texas, is the place. And now it's worth 1.8 million. So he's done well because of association with us.
And that investor, did you give him that property? Is that what happened? He gave
We wanted to sell to pull out the cash, invest back in the business and so forth. So we owned it, right,
Yep.
within the company. Then we said, hey, 200,000 is pretty good return in about 3-4 years. So we had short-sightedness. But if I had kept a lot of these early properties, I wouldn't be where I am today,
right.
because it's the power of starting small, but then you help and get more investors, you give them returns, they tell more people about you. That's the key. That's the key. $39.9 trillion is in retirement funds as of today, I think, in USA.
I know the other day you
As
said
of
it, I
March,
looked it
okay,
up,
as
I
of March.
confirmed it.
Oh,
It's
now maybe now
39.9
with this
trillion
market
dollars.
falling
It might be
down.
down today. It might be on average. That's what they've tracked. And that's what
Right.
I can't remember what the source was, but that is the standard number for how much wealth is trapped in 401ks and IRAs. So that's something you're going to be talking about at the summit this year is the silver tsunami, the baby
Yes.
generation, untapping those 401ks, or at least the concept behind untapping them. I was just thinking, Vinny, I'd love to do like an extra kind of special like real estate talk, but I haven't figured out where I'm going to put it. I'll make sure it's a day that you're going to be at the summit with us, because I'd like
Oh,
to have maybe a panel with you where we just go deeper into.
I would love that. Love that in the morning when I do my keynote, then maybe later on that afternoon, another dose can
I
come
like
in.
it. I
That'll
like
be
it. I'll
amazing.
let you know what the schedule is, but that
Sure.
is, as we're getting
Yeah.
the summit really getting closer, I'm polling the community and all of the
Yeah.
local events. I was in St. Pete last night and I'll be in Tampa
Mhm.
again. I'm polling the attendees and just saying, hey, by the way, what do you want? And mostly what they want, Vinny, is to generate income. They're looking for cash flow. They're looking for capital. What is one of the habits? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. What is one of the habits of great salespeople? And I see you doing it right now, actually. You wake up early, you do your miracle morning. What habit do you think makes you such a great salesperson when you're talking to investors?
The biggest thing is expect to be rejected. A lot of time people just give up and they just say, rationalize, that person is going to say no, and they don't even pick up the phone then. Guess what? More negative you think, like in my book, Positivity Brings Profitability, more of the same thing is going to come in our life. That's law of attraction, law of manifestation. So we believe or not, we got to get psyched up that, hey, no matter whether I get a yes or a no, it's going to be okay. You got to make that phone call and meet with the person at their convenient time. And then you go over a very organized presentation. The worst thing is when people call on the phone and they and everything and they're not confident. But the best is to have a PowerPoint presentation and record so that you could give it to them at the end of presentation. In investors case, in my case, that's what I do. And then they show it to their spouse or their a deacon at the church or pastor or their brother, sister, like that. This way you are able to multiply your presentations by giving videos to these people, and they can ask more questions then.
Vinny,
But
you
if you,
just,
it's okay, it is not the right time for them. It's not a rejection which is personal. It's just a business decision they're making. And maybe they need to be taught a little bit more and educated and all that. Yeah.
you just gave me, I think, one of the most valuable sales tips that I have never heard of ever. Although I've heard you say you give investors the recording of the webinar. I've heard you say that before, but it just crossed my mind because I have a salesperson who's just absolutely amazing in his strategy sessions, and then he sells the mastermind for us. And like, he occasionally ends up with the objection that, oh, my wife, I have to talk to my wife. And it's, man, like if he was just passing this video to the person and saying, yeah, cool, send her this video, have her watch this. Like that would save an entire extra call, because it's like, hey, by the way, I talked about all the stuff, and here's your husband's opinion of everything I'm asking. Here's his concerns that you guys may not have even talked about.
I agree, brother.
Like, wow.
It's
That's so deep. That's so good.
And I really believe, why did I think about it was in the early on in my life, I was putting myself in the shoes of investors.
Yes.
If they have to give me 50, I never take 50, 100,000 minimum, 100, 200, 500, 1 million. You've got to give them a great presentation, everything which they would like to ask, and record it and give it just to them.
Their attorney, they can give it to their financial planner, they give it to their wife. And that also is spreading the knowledge around the deal, because you may have an attorney who says, wow, I want to jump into that too.
Exactly.
So
and you
cool.
have to have 501. You have to let them know it's only in your circle. If it's 506B, which is family and friends, but C, most of the people are doing 506C now for accredited investors. And it's safe investment with accredited investors as compared to sophisticated or non-accredited.
Safe investors. For us, safe for the capital raiser.
Safe for the capital
we
raiser.
Can't say safe.
Nothing is safe, that's for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're getting value from Vinney Chopra, you can go find him on Facebook. He's very active on Instagram. It's how he and I connected in the first place. He's also active on LinkedIn. Go to vinneychopra.com if you want to find out more about what Vinney is up to. If you want to learn about the mastermind, you can go to ibuildmillionaires.com. We'll be hanging out Saturday morning at 10 o'clock for this wealth principle. We'll dive a little deeper into it. I do have to jump off. Vinney's got to jump. He's got to go finish up his exercises. So we do this every Thursday. This is Abundance Thursdays. You can log in a little early. It'll be 9 o'clock PST and 12 p.m. EST. Just be watching for us, because we very consistently will record and make sure we're dropping as much value in there as possible for you. Again, the link is ibuildmillionaires.com, and come hang out with us on Saturday. If you want to hang out with Vinney, you got to jump into the mastermind. There's a ton of value in there. Vinney, any tips before we jump off for folks who are looking to increase their success by improving one habit in their lives?
The biggest thing is that you got to look at where you are at. And I'm pivoting, I'm changing my thinking. I'm looking at, okay, where is the red ocean? Where is the blue ocean? And you got to be really minimizing the risks in the red ocean and transfer slowly into some very nice sector of the real estate, which you and I have talked about it, assisted living with the silver tsunami, and now residential assisted living, which is even a low-hanging fruit with less down payment, and SBA loan, 7A loan is amazing. I just got approved for that one for my first home. I'm applied already for the second one now. And they give you the property value, what you pay for, plus rehab budget, plus operating budget. So it comes out really good. SBA, Small Business Administration loans are great.
You heard it here. Vinney Chopra is giving you tips, residential assisted living. We are going to be talking about that at the summit, and we'll continue to talk about that inside the mastermind. This is Abundance Thursdays at 9 a.m. PST and 12 p.m. EST. Cheers to your success. You have a choice. Always work with the best. By the way, there's plenty of room at the top.
See you next week.
See you next week. Cheers, Vinney.
Cheers, brother. Please give me that link.
Send you the link right now.
Okay, you take care.
Hey there! The upcoming episode is scheduled for Thursday. We appreciate your viewership of the Abundance Mindset Show. Tune in every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 12 p.m. Eastern on various social media platforms hosted by Vinney Chopra and Gualter Amarello. Don't forget to subscribe, share your comments, and leave a 5-star review. Thank you for your support.